Hello, guys. Good evening. We're back again this Friday for another episode of Granite Talks Conversations from Aberdeen. Today, our guest is Artem. Artem, how are you?
Thank you. I'm doing great.
So nice to hear that.
Thank you.
I must admit that for us, it's a real honor to have you here.
Thank you.
yeah.
Thanks for having me. It's a great pleasure.
Your story is just magnificent. I mean, it's very inspiring, and we want to hear everything about your background and how you came to be in
Oh, that's gonna be
university.
a big podcast. It's gonna be a long one. I'm glad to share it. Yeah.
That's great. So why don't we start from the basics?
Yes.
Maybe you can tell us where you're from, where you were born, and why you're here.
Yep. So I was born in Crimea in Ukraine. So it was the Simferopol, the city. It was it is the capital of Crimea because it's was regarded as autonomous republic in Ukraine, and I lived there until 2014. We lived in like various places. So in the Simferopol, then we moved to the it was Crimean Mountains, if you know. It's like southeast, basically.
How was your childhood like? How was it like to grow up in Crimea?
Post-Soviet Crimea.
Yeah, I wouldn't say like my personal childhood was like a typical one, because my parents were like always trying to like how to say, like put me in like the good schools and stuff. Sometimes it resulted like something experimental. For example, I was going to kindergarten where there was like 10 children, but it was like nice, but it wasn't like conventional, I would say. But it was good. I don't really remember that much from that period of my life, but it was alright. I could say
That
it's
makes
definitely
sense.
much different than from here. I think there's definitely so much cultural kind of difference between Eastern European and West Europe and West in general.
What about people's contact with nature? I mean, Crimea has very beautiful beaches, for instance.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Crimea actually has like all types of nature. We have beaches, we have mountains, deserts, and forests. Pretty much like covers everything.
The whole spectrum, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah. So my parents would be like super active in terms of like outdoorsy like activities and all that.
Would you say Crimea perhaps might be one of the most international spots in Ukraine? Because I know it as a very famous holiday destination, for instance.
I would say so. Like before 2014, I would say like Kiev probably would be the city as the capital attracts typically the most international flow. But Crimea was definitely a big destination, I think, especially because of the different festivals and retreats. I think it was not only for Ukraine but also for like whole post-Soviet space. It was definitely a destination.
That's great. Do you have another question, or may I go ahead with another
Oh,
one?
please go ahead.
It's just
Yeah.
I'm fascinated by different cultures and different people.
Yes.
People in Crimea, because of its geographical location, do they have a different accent? Do they speak perhaps a different dialect?
It's predominantly Russian-speaking region, so people wouldn't speak Ukrainian there as much. Only like people who came from west of Ukraine probably will speak it. They would know the language, but they would still kind of like speak Russian because everybody else does.
Yes.
But now it's like Russian, and I think now because it's occupied by Russia, it's actually like massive inflow of immigration from different republics like Dagestan, Tajikistan, Tatarstan. So there's like actually like less Ukrainian Crimean population because a lot of people just left Ukraine and now it's like a populated different.
But in terms of like the accent and the
Oh,
dialect
sorry. Yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah,
word
come
choice,
in.
is it a bit different? I mean, what I suppose the accent might be different to the Russian people have in Moscow, for instance? Are there like particular words that are like predominantly used in Crimea?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would say Ukrainian Russian is different in terms of like accent, and Moscow people, they within the Russia they have a special accent, but even like in regards to like generally Russian, it's different. For example, we pronounce the letter h, and they don't have it. They have g. It's like hard sound. So yeah, I would say it's different in terms of like accent, but it's for you it will sound the same.
Hijacking off of Tom's question about languages being slightly different or something like that, did you observe any friction between the Russian population of Crimea and native Ukrainians before 2014 when things went to like a boiling point? Maybe you were too young?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Now that you look back.
Now I'm looking back, like
Yeah.
I definitely see it's like as a really like multicultural kind of place, because the original indigenous population was Tatar, Crimean Tatars. They were not Ukrainians, not
Yes.
Russians. So pretty much Ukrainian and Russian population was kind of like how I say adopted by the Tatars. So there's definitely I wouldn't say there was any friction.
That's quite interesting.
That's interesting.
I think
yes.
it goes same for the whole Ukraine. The whole like language question is definitely like after the war is definitely more pressing, because now we have the war with Russia, and it's definitely not favorable to use Russian language. But a lot of people understand that people grew up speaking it's their native language, and you cannot force somebody, and you don't really want to force somebody like speak some language, because it doesn't really work like that. It's about your culture, your like how you grew up, it's about cultural identity, I would say.
Yes. What about in terms of cuisine? Like, is there something that you miss from home?
Yeah, cuisine. My father loves cooking. He just loves it, and because our family is vegetarians, so my father and my mother, they would cook like really great vegetarian dishes, like for example borscht.
That's so nice.
Yeah, borscht, then vareniki, which is like dumplings. And yeah, I would just remember myself eating. It was my favorite dish, vareniki with potato and and cabbage as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's really you should try it definitely.
Yeah, we should.
And also I should mention about the traditional Tatar cuisine, because it's definitely very well defined. In Crimea, my favorite dish was the chebureki, which is like another type of you can't really say it's pirushki, because it's different. I don't really know
I
how
think
to
for
describe
our British audience, you would say it's something like a Cornish pasty of sorts. It's
Maybe.
like a puff pastry with like a meat,
Yes,
potato, and
yeah,
onion
exactly,
filling sort of a
fried.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
So-
oh, nice.
I'll do some info dropping about myself now. I was in Lithuania for 4 years. That's where I did
really?
my undergrad.
Nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Right.
That's so interesting.
Yes.
We should interview you as well.
Someday. So, speaking of Crimean Tatars, the cuisine did make it to Lithuania, surprisingly, believe it or not. So, we also had the cheburek there, and another dish that is very popular in Lithuania. It's called kibinai. So, it's like this puff pastry with meat or whatever you can put inside it, and that is a very Crimean Tatar dish. This was during when the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was a thing. So there was this migration of Tatars from Crimea to Lithuania.
Nice.
Yeah.
Love that.
Wow, that's quite interesting. Now, maybe you could tell us about the Ukrainian community on campus, because they have been quite active. I'm not sure. Are you a member of the Ukrainian society?
I am, well, not technically, but I love to participate in the various kind of events. Unfortunately, I'm not always there due to my occupancy, but In terms of community, I think it's really big in terms of in comparison with other cities. I think it's big in Scotland overall, the Ukrainian community, in Aberdeen especially.
Yeah. Like roughly, how many Ukrainian students do you think there are?
Students, I think around probably 60, around 60.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah,
that's
maybe less.
That's a relatively high amount
Yeah,
of
that's
people.
more than I would have expected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I was surprised how much people there are.
I know we should have asked him this question before, but what do you study at the university?
Oh,
Just
yeah.
so that we know.
It's actually very unique because people usually go to oh yeah, hi, what's your name?
Yes.
What's your major?
Yeah.
So I study law. I study law in Aberdeen, law with English law.
That's amazing.
That's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, I really love it actually. Surprisingly.
Yeah, it's very challenging. I think as an international student that is also learning law, I can tell that it can be quite difficult sometimes.
Oh yeah, especially you are on accelerated one. You do 4 years in 2 years, right?
Yeah, but I have the advantage that I did my undergrad here. I mean, going straight to a law degree, it's pure madness. So I think I really admire that.
Thank you.
But are you having fun with the degree? Is it something that you're enjoying?
I am. Yeah, I actually it was so random because I supposed to study economics, right? So I supposed to study economics, right? If you want, I can tell the whole story because it wasn't straightforward kind of journey towards university because I didn't have any qualification. Basically, I didn't have external examination. Is that what Ukraine uses to kind of examine people after the school so then they can go to university? I didn't. Well, I have it, but my grades were so bad actually. Must admit, I was not a good student back in the high school, but I did half a year in Polish uni. So I provided my school grades and Polish university grades. And basically, yeah.
Sorry, maybe just to order the conversation, you can tell us your journey from the time you left Ukraine,
Right.
then how you went to, you said Poland, right?
Yeah.
And then from Poland, you went to?
It was a transit because in Poland, I think we realized that it wouldn't be viable kind of to stay there. So then we kind of thought we should explore other countries.
And this is prior to the war, during the context of the war or before that?
So let me just go start from my kind of academic journey because that's where it all begins actually. So it's chronology is
Perfect.
consistent. So basically, I did my half year in Polish uni, and I went back home.
So this was in the year?
It was 2001 and winter, so 2022.
Okay.
2021.
21.
Yeah.
Right.
So it was winter, and then 2022 came around. So that's I was in Ukraine at that time. So at that time, my university was running remotely. So I was in Ukraine, and I thought, it's kind of getting hot on the border. There's something's gonna happen. And especially my father, he loves to check news. He checks the news all the time. That's actually one of the predominant reasons why we left Crimea, because my father, he's very engaged in the kind of political life. He's not active, he's not a politician or something, he's just ordinary person, but he's active citizen. And that's why we left Crimea, because he didn't want to stay in Russia. It was non-negotiable for him. So he also told me you have to go because soon airline's gonna cut off and they're just gonna leave Ukraine. You're just impossible to leave. So that's exactly what I did. I flew Ukraine on 14th of February, exactly 10 days before the invasion. And after 10 days, invasion happened, and then I didn't witness myself the bombings and all that. But my family, they did, and so basically I have one brother and one sister, and my parents. So they were like calling me. We were like talking. I was like, "Well, what's going on? What's happening?" And they said, "Yeah, it's like the war just started," and they were like telling me about how they woke up like in 4 a.m. I think, and they heard bombings, and because they live near Odessa, and Odessa also was bombed at that day. So I told them, guys, you have to leave because it's not gonna end up well if you're just gonna stay there. Because I had the room in the apartment, and I thought, guy, you should just come. And that's how my mother and my siblings first left, and then my father like after 1 week. So that's how we ended up in Poland. And
It must have been difficult to
Yes.
leave your home.
Quite harrowing.
yeah, I mean, we had experience with that, so it was like less kind of, because I wouldn't say it was like usual, but we already moved like so many times.
Yeah. So you were mentally prepared.
Yeah, yeah. For us, it was I think like different from majority of Ukrainians, probably with the exception of Eastern Ukraine, the Donbas region, because there's also a lot of domestic refugees from Donbas, and yeah, so we kind of like already like going through like ordinary like process, I guess. So yeah, it was a bit challenging. Yeah, we were living like in one flat, 5 people in one room. But I'm really glad that there was a lot of support and help in Poland. People were so engaged. They were helping so much. They were really like, there were chats, like Telegram chats, different chats where people were just writing, oh yeah, I have this and this, who needs that? And then where people just like, for example, because later my friends also came from Ukraine, they fled, and we needed mattresses. So I know like 2 people coming on top of like everybody else, my family, 2 people coming, and they need mattresses, duvets, like basically bed stuff. And I hop on the chat, on this group chat, and I just write, I need this. And within an hour, some lovely Polish couple, they just write back to me and they say just come around. They just send me the address, and I just go there with my friend who has the car. We pick this up and solved. And basically this is how it was. People were collaborating. It was really great. It was really nice. It was like life-saving, basically, support from Polish people, for which I'm definitely like so grateful. So that was in Wrocław. Actually, I was studying in Wrocław, and we ended up there. But the situation was I don't know, was weird, because there were like 3 million suddenly came into Poland, which is not really how you say, it's not really
to deal with that. Yeah,
not really immigrant-based country, like,
and no place is equipped to deal with 3 million people turning up overnight. So fair enough.
Yeah. So it was very congested in terms of like transportation, stations, all that. But as I said, like, people somehow they were dealing with this, But we kind of understood that it won't be forever like this, because it's like the human resources, it's gonna wear down, and people just gonna go and live their normal life. But there's not gonna be enough jobs for everybody. So that's how we kind of like thought. I kind of understood that my family needs my help, and also like because they didn't really know English much, nor Polish. So I needed to help them, and I thought, okay, I guess I have to put my studies on pause, and we went to our friends in France, from my congregation, from my religion, and they provided accommodation for us for like short term, whilst we were thinking kind of like where to settle. Yeah, because we already heard about the.
Sorry, yes,
Yeah.
so our listeners know, what is your religion?
Oh yeah, so my religion is Vaishnavism, is part of Hindu religion, basically based on Vedas, Veda scriptures.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's not really traditional Ukrainian religions. Probably like, as I said, not conventional.
In my opinion, George Harrison was catalytic in promoting it throughout the West, especially the sort of Vaishnavism Artem is speaking about. He was
Indeed.
one of the early adopters, and then it took off with a bang pretty much.
Yeah.
And surprisingly, it seems to be very popular in that part of the world, especially Russia, Eastern Europe. The Hare Krishna movement, as what the British might know.
Yeah, I know that's Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yeah. So that is
Yeah,
what it
yeah.
is basically.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Now I know.
Exactly. Yeah, I guess people know it more like as Hare
Yeah.
Krishna.
That's
yeah,
interesting.
Definitely.
One of my aunt is a
Yeah.
follower of that religion, and I always knew it as Hare Krishna.
Oh, nice.
That's
Yeah.
Lovely.
interesting.
Sorry, your question was originally like, how,
Yeah,
do I
sorry.
like law? And then somehow we ended up in Poland. No,
Yes,
but
we're
fine,
talking
yeah.
of France.
yeah, France
France.
France already. Sorry, I'm going to that. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
don't
got-
worry.
Where it's
Yeah.
a westward journey now. so
yeah.
from-
That's all part of the journey.
Yes.
So it was crazy. We actually ended up living in a castle.
Castle.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
in French castle. You know, they Hare Krishna in France. They own a castle in the middle of France,
Oh,
in the
wow.
middle of nowhere. It was great. It was.
Sounds surrealist.
Yeah, it was crazy. I would never in my life imagine that I would live in a castle like in the middle of France.
How was it like to live in a castle? I can't even.
It was great. We were actually like not living exactly in the castle. We were like it was just like in front of castle. There
Yeah.
were like guest houses.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I would
we were-
imagine it would be pretty cold because everything is made out of stone.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
No, but it was like we were like eating there. We would pretty much spent all time like in the castle.
So
just
it was
sleeping.
like within the castle's state.
Yeah,
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 that's cool.
yeah. So like it was basically temple in the castle.
Uh-huh.
So they were like doing services. There was like dining room there and all that. It was really nice, and big thank you for them for hosting us.
Yeah. How long did you stay in France?
I think it was around 1.5, maybe 2 months. Pretty much, yeah, because we left in the end of March and
And
we-
why?
from Poland.
No, why
No.
did you move from France?
From France, we moved on. We are basically arrived to UK at 3rd of June 2022.
But the idea of going to the UK did it originate when you were in France?
I started thinking about it when we were in Poland.
Uh-huh.
So that was kind of the idea to look, kind of like go to see our friends, see how they doing, and like talk to them, ask them what like, basically come to the collective decision what to do. And we thought the UK is like probably better for like our future.
And up to this point in your journey, you were with your family, right?
Yes, so it was me, my mom, and my 2 siblings, and my father was in Poland, and we came to UK at 3rd of June, and he joined us. When was it? It was in October, I think. Same year.
And have you ever been to the UK before?
No, never. I never been abroad before.
Oh,
Before
wow.
Poland. Yeah, I never been abroad, so this was like totally new to me. Yeah, so that's how we ended up in UK.
How was it like to go to London? I mean, the first time I went to London, I was like so shocked and
Yeah.
impressed. It's so big, you know. It's a
Yeah,
massive metropolis.
no, yeah, definitely. I think the first like wow moment was in Paris.
Uh-huh.
That was the
yeah.
first.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
where that's where I first time.
That's a
where-
nice wow.
Yeah.
No, definitely the Eiffel Tower. Sorry, did you want to say something?
No. I'm just agreeing with you. Please.
Oh,
go on.
okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it was like the first multicultural environment where I was like on the Eiffel Tower, and I heard like American English. Well, not so much French. They don't go there really.
Yeah.
I found out later, but
It's all the tourists up there, up on top of the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah,
Been
yeah.
there, done that. So now I know.
yeah. It's not really a French thing, like
Yes.
not one French person there.
No.
So it's Americans just like with champagne, taking pictures, then some, like pretty much like all the world.
How was it in
there.
2022? Because I went to the Eiffel Tower in 2018, and my God, was it crowded. I had to wait in the line for like a few hours to just get into the lift and go
Oh, a
up.
few hours, damn, that's big. That's
Yeah.
long.
Wow.
Okay. No, I think it was definitely like better than that.
Yeah, I think this was post-COVID. So
Just like
Yeah.
as soon as like COVID, I think as soon as like war in Ukraine hit,
Yes.
everybody kind of like shifted from COVID. That's where like the COVID thing
Yeah.
ended really, and
Yes.
it was like a new phase. The line was quite big, but it was like moving quickly. So I
Oh,
think
that's
we were
nice. Yeah.
it's like 20 minutes. So
It's a nice detail to discuss.
Yeah.
Very
The
pertinent
lines at the-
for our interview.
the lines at the Eiffel Tower.
I told you guys it's gonna be a long interview. No, but like it's probably crazy. Like you asked like about Ukrainian refugee life, and I'm telling you about like Eiffel Tower and a castle in
No,
France.
no. I mean, it's an amazing
It's
journey.
your experience, and
Yeah.
we want to like get that out of you.
Yeah.
It's an interview of your like your life and your experience until now.
Yeah.
The Ukrainian refugee is a part of it, and you have so
Yeah.
many more facets to your life than just that. So
We kind of like want to capture your life story.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
This is a social interview, so yeah.
yes,
Yeah. All right. So yeah, we first came to. So answering your question, first we came to Birmingham, and only then we came to London. So London was great, but we didn't have the place to live. That's the problem.
yeah,
The land was amazing, very fascinating, but I think we didn't have like the permanent place for 2 months.
Where were you staying during that time?
Just random people, just people who were like willing to give the space
Wow.
for us.
oh yeah, that must have been really like difficult. Yeah,